Not that long ago, I unlocked Atomic Camo in Vanguard's multiplayer, and I thought I would give you guys my best tips possible on how you can earn this camo for yourself, and of course make the grind a lot less stressful in the long run. In order to earn Atomic Camo, you first need to get gold camo unlocked for 7 assault rifles, 6 SMGs, 4 shotguns, 4 LMGs, 3 marksman rifles, 3 sniper rifles, and 2 melee weapons. And the reason why I worded it like that specifically is because since the launch of Vanguard, of course, new weapons have been added to the game, and you can actually earn gold camo on post-launch weapons such as the Cooper Carbine or the Whitley LMG, and actually still be able to get atomic camo. You don't have to get gold camo on the guns that came out with the game at launch, so just keep that in mind. The first tip I want to give you guys is that make sure you're leveling up your weapons as fast as possible, and this can definitely take some time to do in Vanguard, considering most weapons reach a max level of 70, which can take quite a bit of time. Good thing that throughout the year for Vanguard's life cycle, we've been getting a lot of double weapon XP events, so anytime you see a double weapon XP event coming up in like the next weekend or so, take advantage of it and make sure that you're not just focusing on camouflage challenges, but just simply focusing on leveling up the guns in general. And then once you have a weapon at level 70, move on to the next one, because you really got to take advantage of those double XP events and make sure that your weapons are all leveled up, because you have to have it at max level if you want to have all the camouflage challenges unlocked, so that way you can complete them. And so what I personally did every time there was a double weapon XP event is that I would only focus on leveling up my guns. I never actually focused on getting my Longshots done, my Bloodthirsties, or maybe completing like the Survivalist or Death Artist camo challenges. I didn't really focus on any of that stuff. I only focused on getting the weapon to level 70 and then completely moving on to a brand new weapon and start leveling that one up, because once double XP event is over, I can then focus on the camouflage challenges, and since my weapons are already at max level, I have a much easier time getting those challenges actually completed since my gun is already at level 70. With that being said, there are some weapons you don't have to level up at all whatsoever, and those are the melees and the launchers. Those by default will always be at level 1, and so all the camouflage challenges are available for you to actually complete, which I thought was a smart move on Sledgehammer Games' part. Now let's talk about getting long shots, because these are going to be the most annoying and tedious challenge you're going to have to complete when earning gold camo on a gun in Vanguard's multiplayer. And at one point, getting long shots were a lot worse, because they made the requirements twice as many as they are currently right now in the game, which is only 50 for most guns in the game. Actually, I don't even know if I'd say most guns, because there are guns in this game that require you to get extra long shots. So you're not just going to be getting 50 long shots, you're probably going to be getting a little bit more than that, because there is future challenges that require you to get additional long shot kills using 3 specific attachments. And this can be really annoying, because the first long shot challenges you'll always come across when leveling up your gun are the Deadeye challenges, and those are just 50 base long shots, right? But then later on, when you start leveling up your gun and you start unlocking more camouflage challenges, you realize that you need 50 additional more long shots using 3 specific attachments. And that's why I mentioned earlier how you need to level up your guns to level 70 as fast as possible, because there are some challenges that kind of go hand in hand with each other, and you can complete them a lot easier if you play your cards right. If there is a gun you're currently trying to level up right now and you don't know if there's going to be more additional long shot challenges that you have to complete in order to get the gun gold, then I highly recommend checking out this Reddit post, where this post does get updated every time there are new weapons in the game that may have additional long shot challenges attached to them. And this is a very, very good Reddit post that goes into detail on the most efficient way to actually get long shots in Vanguard's multiplayer. I did not create this Reddit post for myself, and so I definitely use this as a reference when trying to level up certain guns and understanding when I can actually start going for long shots, because sometimes you can't go for them right away. You have to wait until it's leveled up to a certain point to where you have to go for it by using those 3 specific attachments. And this Reddit post does tell you which attachments you need to use in order to get gold camo on your gun, and of course get done with that long shot challenge in particular. So I highly recommend checking out this Reddit post, and of course there will be a link in the description that will take you right to it. But this definitely helped me out a lot, and I definitely recommend using this as a reference when leveling leveling up your guns. When it comes to actually getting a long shot kill in Vanguard's multiplayer, hardcore mode is definitely the way to go. I don't think I really have to explain why. You have lower health in that mode, and so it's a lot easier to take out enemies at longer range, and this is really beneficial for using weapons that don't really have that good of a range to them, like for example SMGs and maybe some assault rifles, because there are guns that don't have a good range to them, and sure, you can customize it to where you can make the effective damage range better, but some weapons, they will feel like hit marker machines in hardcore mode if you're trying to go for long shots, and of course doing that in core mode is going to be a lot worse. So hardcore mode is definitely going to be your friend when it comes to getting long shot challenges done, and of course not every single map in the game is good for getting long shot challenges. Like for example, I highly recommend staying away from small maps such as Shipment and DOS House. Yes, there is maybe like 1 or 2 spots on DOS House for getting long shot challenges done, but they're not really that ideal, and if you want to maintain a high KD, then I highly recommend staying away from it. Same with Shipment. Shipment doesn't really have any long shot areas as far as I am aware of, and so playing on any map other than DOS House and Shipment, you should be able to find some good long shot spots. Like especially the bigger maps are definitely the way to go, so make sure you stick with those lobbies, and of course find those good areas to actually go ahead and get long shots. I know that I could go into detail on certain areas to where the long shots can be a lot more effective, but it's pretty easy to figure out where those areas are actually located, considering every player in Vanguard like is in that spot, because everybody's trying to go for long shots, it seems like. So I don't think you really have to have like too big of an issue there when it comes to getting long shots on those bigger sized maps, but understanding that some weapons are going to be harder to kill at longer range is definitely really important. But another huge thing that I don't see anybody using to go for long shots is using the deployable shield as your field upgrade, and this is super useful on using high recoil weapons that need long shots. For example, the AS-44 assault rifle is a high recoil weapon and does not have that great of a damage range to it. You kind of have to treat it more as an SMG if you want to do a good job using the AS-44, but with the deployable shield and playing hardcore mode, long shots were a breeze. Same with the Type 11 light machine gun, probably the worst light machine gun in the game. It has very high recoil to it, and so therefore it's way better at close range than long range, but the deployable shield made my long shot challenges a breeze, and so I highly recommend using the deployable shield when going for long shots. Yes, you're going to be technically camping, but really when you go for long shots, you're going to be camping anyway, so you might as well use the deployable shield when you can. Also, just a little side tip for you guys, when it comes to the machine pistol and you're trying to get long shots, just use the burst barrel attachment on it, because the burst barrel attachment makes the recoil a lot easier to control, and since you are turning it from a fully auto to a burst, you are going to be conserving ammo a little bit easier, and so I recommend when running the machine pistol, just load it up with a bunch of recoil control attachments with the burst barrel on top of it, and it made long shots a lot easier. But pistol long shots aren't nearly as bad as trying to get long shots for the primary weapons, because the long shot range is a lot further away than it is on pistols, so just keep that in mind. Another tip when going for atomic camo is getting bloodthirsty challenges done, and for the most part, getting bloodthirsties aren't too bad. You have to get 30 of them, which I think is pretty absurd, but if you're having a hard time using certain weapons, like for example, maybe you're not good at sniping, and so going on a 5 kill streak with a sniper is a little hard to do, I highly recommend maybe running overkill and using an SMG or an assault rifle to get easy kills, because what's funny about the bloodthirsty challenge is that you can essentially get 4 kills in a row using a gun. Like for example, if you're trying to get your bloodthirsties done with the Kar98 sniper, but you can get like 4 kills in a row with the STG, and then the 5th kill is with the Kar98, then that 5th kill will count as a bloodthirsty completion for your bloodthirsty challenge, which is pretty cool to see. So I'm happy that that was kind of implemented like in the game, even though it doesn't tell you that directly. And so that's definitely a huge tip when going for bloodthirsties, is that if you're having a hard time with a weapon, just use another weapon and then make sure your 5th kill is with the weapon that you want the bloodthirsty challenge to get done with. So just keep that in mind. Another challenge that might be a little annoying to go for are wallbangs, and you have to do this, I believe, with every light machine gun in the game, and I believe you have to do it with the bar assault rifle as well. I did make a video covering this, and if you guys want to check that out, there will be a link in the description below. Same when it comes with the long shots for the machine pistol. I also made a separate video on that, but I'll briefly go over the wallbangs here with the LMGs. First of all, use piercing vision. Like, there's just no reason why you shouldn't use it. It makes it so much easier to track your target, and maybe you're able to take out an enemy through material material that maybe you just didn't realize. Also, you should always be using the FMJ ammo type because you're able to actually have better bullet penetration with that ammo type. So there's no reason why you shouldn't be using the piercing vision or FMJ ammo type. And then there is also a driller perk for your weapon that you can use. Now, not every LMG has the driller perk, unfortunately, but for the ones that do, then you should also be using that. And of course, you can use all three of these at the same time: piercing vision perk, the FMJ ammo type, and the driller attachment perk on your weapon. If you can have all three of those at the same time, then this challenge should be no problem at all whatsoever. Also, there's spots on DOS House and Shipment that make like getting Wallbangs really easy, and so I didn't really have too many trouble doing this. Also, going back to hardcore mode, it could be a lot easier to get Wallbangs with that as well, since it takes less shots to kill an enemy. Shooting through a wall could give you really lucky ways on taking out enemies, I suppose. So, you know, yeah, it's a little annoying that you have to get Wallbangs. I think you have to get 100 of them for the light machine guns, which is pretty annoying, but nonetheless, make sure you're using those perks and attachments, and this should be a breeze. Moving on to the combat knife and riot shield, and the reason why I'm bringing these two up in its own category is because they are melee weapons, and I also want to bring up that you technically don't have to go for either of these when getting atomic camo. It sounds like you can just go for the other melee weapons that are in the game, but when it comes specifically for the riot shield, I'm not entirely sure if you can avoid this one because it's in the primary weapon category. So not entirely sure there, but I think I should just cover them anyway. And really the tips I'm going to be giving you here can apply to the other melee weapons as well. So first of all, when it comes to going knife only or going riot shield only, do not play too aggressively. And I know that can be a little hard to do because these are melee weapons. You do have faster movement speed compared to like running around with an actual gun itself. And so therefore it convinces you to run around a lot like with your, like a headless chicken basically. And that's not what you want to do. You want to play a little bit more conservatively, and you want to really wait around corners when enemies come around them and really take them out, because there are backstabber medals which you have to get, which can be a little annoying to actually get sometimes. And so basically a backstabber is you have to take out an enemy with the riot shield or knife while you're behind them, and sometimes that can be a little difficult to do. And so sometimes you want to wait for enemies to actually push a certain location and then kind of go ahead and flank them and then take them out. That's really my biggest like tip there, is don't play too aggressively. Like, yeah, sure, run as fast as you can into the location you want to, wait a little bit, try and identify where enemies are located. Do you know if they're camping or not? Are the enemies that you're going up against playing aggressive themselves? And so always find ways to actually flank enemy players and avoid small maps. Okay, do not play small maps. Do not play the Shipment 24/7 playlist or the DOS House 24/7 playlist, because those maps, they don't really give you that much flanking opportunity. But if you play on all the other maps, there's a lot more opportunity for you to flank enemy players, and so therefore it's easier to get those camouflage challenges done, especially for the backstabber challenges. And then I will say there are sliding and double kills you have to get with these weapons, and I will say when it comes to playing on small maps, the sliding and double kills can be pretty easy. However, the double kills can also be applied just like with Bloodthirsties, where you can actually get a kill with your pistol, for example, and then quickly pull out your melee weapon and then take someone out, and that second kill will count as a double kill as long as you're doing it in a quick fashion. And when it comes to the perk choice when running around meleeing people, I recommend using Ghost, Tracker, and Lightweight. For the perk 1 category, you could replace Ghost with like Serpentine or Cold-Blooded, but I don't really think Serpentine does that much less damage when you're running around, and Cold-Blooded obviously could be useful for not being tracked by enemy streaks, and that's how I found that useful. But Ghost, for the majority of the time, is the way to go, because a lot of people are always calling in their radars, and you want to stay invisible since you are trying to move around the map and flank enemy players using your melee weapon. And of course, Tracker, you can see enemy footsteps, so I just don't really see any reason not to use that in the perk 2 category. And then for the perk 3 category, Lightweight, I mean, you want to move like around as fast as possible, try and flank enemy players as quick as you can, and make sure you're always ahead of the game on getting the jump on them. And of course, you could replace Lightweight with Ninja if you wanted to, but I guess if you're running around melee only, you might just want to use the Dead Silence field upgrade. I feel like footsteps aren't really a huge factor in Vanguard, especially if you're playing respawn game modes. Also, make sure you always have a stun grenade on your class, because there are a challenge where it requires you to kill enemies while they're stunned from your stun grenade. Even though I think enemy players, like if an enemy player gets stunned by a stun grenade, even if it's not yours and you take them out, I think it will actually still count towards the challenge, which is kind of funny. But nonetheless, always run a stun grenade, and make sure you are utilizing it correctly, making sure you're not stunning yourself either, because I have definitely done that many times. So make sure that when you throw the stun grenade, you're in like a different room or something, so that way you don't have to worry about getting stunned and you have the full movement advantage compared to the person you just stunned. When focusing on the riot shield, the one thing that's a little annoying about the riot shield is that if you're standing up with it, your feet are going to be exposed so enemy players can take you out, but if you are crouched, the top of your head is exposed, making an easy headshot for an enemy player. And this can be really annoying considering most people use the riot shield in hardcore mode to get done with their challenges, because one hit from the riot shield in hardcore mode, you are dead. And so really, I didn't find the riot shield and knife to actually be that hard to get gold within the game, and that's mostly because you don't have to level them up whatsoever. But really, my biggest recommendation is just walk with the riot shield, especially if you're in a close engagement with an enemy. Just like honestly keep spamming the crouch button, like make sure that you confuse the enemy on where he's aiming his gun at, because most players know that the top of your head is exposed when you're crouched and your legs are exposed when you are standing up. And so if you are just spamming the crouch button and making it hard for the enemy player to actually hit any of your body, then it'll be really easy to take him out. And so I don't think the riot shield will be that difficult as long as you're using that strategy. When it comes to using rocket launchers, they are going to be pretty easy for the most part. The hardest thing that you're going to be going for are ground streaks or field upgrades, so make sure you're always using engineer all the time. Like, there is no reason why you shouldn't be using engineer. However, there is a perk that does counter engineer in this game, but I don't know too many people that use it. However, I have seen people use it before, so just be aware of that. And so when it comes to using rocket launchers, obviously you're going to have to take out enemies, you're going to have to take out aerial streaks like UAVs or counter UAVs, which now that should all be good. At one point the Panzerfaust was like impossible to take out aerial streaks, and so it made it really hard to get that thing gold, but everything should be good now when it comes to taking out enemy UAVs, for example. But when it comes to like ground streaks or field upgrades, meleeing dogs I found to be really beneficial. Like, for example, if you need to destroy 3 streaks in a single game 30 times, which that can be really annoying, meleeing dogs can be really beneficial, especially if someone on the enemy team does call in a dog streak. Meleeing them and just basically beating them to death with your actual rocket launcher does actually count. At least it did for me when I completed them. And so if you want to get done with the Deadeye camouflage challenges that way, you can definitely do that. Of course, shooting down UAVs work as well, which for the most part is actually really easy to do because everyone's usually always calling in UAVs. And then when it comes to field upgrades, those are actually pretty difficult to actually destroy. They did recently add in a trophy system, so getting rocket launcher challenges are going to be a little bit more difficult to complete. And I heard that even if you go up in melee a trophy system, it won't actually count as destroying a field upgrade for whatever reason. But there are other field upgrades such as the field mic, the jammer, which a lot of people like to use. And so with the engineer perk, you should be able to easily spot them and then take them out. I will admit it was pretty hard taking out field upgrades in this game. You just kind of have to be patient with it and really just find a way for people to like use field upgrades, I guess. Probably objective game modes are the way to go when completing rocket launcher challenges, because when it comes to like game modes like TDM or Kill Confirm, nobody really uses field upgrades, but field upgrades play a huge part in hardpoint and patrols, so make sure you're playing game modes like those because that's where people use them the most. I should also talk about the MK11 really quickly, because this rocket launcher is so much fun to use and it does require a certain amount of triple kills, and the triple kills really aren't too bad. I have so many different clips of me getting like multi-kills with the MK11, and I don't think you guys will either. Hardcore mode might be a little bit easier to get multi-kills, especially with a single rocket. And of course you could go with the route of like just taking out an enemy player with like an assault rifle, like get a double kill with an assault rifle, quickly pull out your MK11, shoot it across the map, and then hopefully get a kill that way. But either way, the MK11, I thought that was probably the easiest rocket launcher to use, so it didn't really take me that long to get done with the triple kills. But yes, definitely the ground streaks and the field upgrades are probably the hardest ones to actually complete for the rocket launchers. Just make sure you're using engineer all the time, and be aware that players may use the counter to engineer, which I believe is called armory, so just be aware of that. And that right there is my ultimate guide on how to earn atomic camo here within Vanguard's multiplayer. That for the most part, when you look at the camouflage challenges in game, they are pretty self-explanatory, but like I said earlier in the video, some of these challenges can be annoying and tedious to actually go for, especially those long shot challenges, and even the survivalist mind games and death artist camo challenges can be really annoying as well, using those 3 specific attachments. I do like the fact they make you change your playstyle based on those 3 specific attachments, because I remember in particular there was like a certain setting setup for the STG it made you use, and it just made the STG super weak, and it definitely was challenging to get kills with those 3 attachments. And so I do like those challenges. I thought it was a cool addition. Sometimes they're really annoying, especially when they make you go after like additional headshots and additional long shots. I mean, I didn't like those, but sometimes it'll give you like ADS kills, hipfire kills, kills while moving, or kills without taking damage from that player. And so those ones I don't really mind, but the headshots and of course long shots were really annoying on the survivalist mind games and death artist camo challenges. But for the most part, every camo challenges is pretty self-explanatory. Sometimes things can be a little bit confusing, and there's definitely strategies to earning these challenges or completing them a lot faster, and that is why I made this video. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure you leave a like if you did, subscribe to the channel if you are brand new and want to see some future Call of Duty content, and with that being said, I shall catch you guys later.